Hey guys, I'm hopping back on here on YouTube to give you some more book reviews and to take a look at some things that I'm reading and doing. I know we all really miss being in person in those library days, and this is definitely no substitute for those in-person meetings. I miss the chatting. I miss when you guys come in and we get to chat a little bit before we get started on those library lessons and showing you all those resources. And we're all here at home. I've taken part in a couple of Zoom meetings with other classes, and it's funny that I see a lot of people are doing the same thing I'm doing, which is every time I'm trying to be in a Zoom meeting or trying to record, you can hear my dog down here squeaking on her squeaky donut, and the dogs are running in and out, or somebody actually walks in while you're on the camera. So this is definitely a new normal, but we're a month in. Right now we're going to be back at the beginning of May. We'll see about that. And if not, then this may go on for another month. So I'm really going to start working hard to try and keep some more contact with you. I don't know if, again, you're struggling like I am, but you know me. You know I read a lot. And I read a lot of books at once, and I complete a book or two a week. And I have completed one book in the last month. One. And it was an audio book. So how sad is that? And I don't know what that is. I don't know why that's happening. I'm assuming it's just because, this is just so weird. It's so different. And we're having a hard time adjusting. And it is definitely an adjustment. But again, 1 month in, I really started to kickstart and look back and be like, all right, that's it. Like, no one's punking us here. We are actually going to be quarantined. We're not going to get to go back to school for a while. So I tried to buckle down and do some of the things that I've told you to do. In the last couple of years that you've been having library visits, and I'm saying, hey, are you not a reader? Here are some things, here are some techniques that will help you read more. And now I'm following my own advice. So I'm setting a particular time of the day out to sit down and focus on the reading. I'm cutting out the distractions. I'll sweep around here. I wasn't going to do this, but I'll sweep around. I will, can you see my TV there? I will put some meditative music on my TV, on YouTube, YouTube through the smart TV or whatever. And I'll set my timer, and I'll read for a half an hour or 30 minutes. Half an hour, an hour. And that's helped me out. I also think that the type of book that we're choosing right now probably has a lot to do with it. I have been trying to read Sing, Unburied, Sing by Jesmyn Ward. This is one of Mrs. Erickson's books. She loaned it to me. We also were reading it with our adult book club that was supposed to meet the Thursday, I believe. Was the Thursday the week that this happened, or the week after this happened, that the 13th. I can't remember what that was. It seems so strange now when you look back. I'm looking at my calendar and everything's crossed off. But we were supposed to meet the 19th to discuss that book. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't read it. So I have been working on that a lot. And it's a good book. The writing is beautiful. I really do love it. I'm just having a hard time because it's kind of depressing. And things are kind of depressing right now. So that's why I picked up the audiobook, or didn't pick it up. I started playing it. It was called French Pressed. It's a coffee mystery. Funny, I know, I love coffee, I love mysteries. It's a series. I want to say it's about 6 or 7 into the series. And I enjoy it. I enjoy those. They're very fluffy. There is no literary merit to them, but I enjoy them. So I did listen to that, and that did help me kind of get back on track last week on trying to read. I'm about halfway through, and you know me, I, again, can't give up on a book. So I'm going to finish that in the next couple of days is my plan, and then try and do better on trying to finish some books, or trying to even just get some books read. There are a number of books, and that's why I sat here today, that and the fact that it's like 30 degrees outside. But there are a number of books that I do read through on a daily basis. So this is my little reading table back here that I sit down on. So the first 3 are like my Bibles that I go through and do some daily reading in my Bible, or devotional readings. So I'm going to set those back over here. You might enjoy this, though. I don't have this in the library, but I have found that I do enjoy it. It's a Bible, but it's also one that has some room. I was trying to find one. Here we go. Has some room for you to do some drawings or do some painting in. I have done a little bit more of that creative, like doodling, coloring. I brought my poster home, the one that was hanging up that Mr. Mulvihill made me in the library. That's the 2020 book, tracking the books that I read. I brought that home and did some coloring on that this week. I felt like that kind of helped me feel a little better during these times. So those are always on my bedside, or not my bedside table, I'm in my living room, but those are always beside my little reading chair here where I sit and do my daily reading. So I still am doing that kind of daily reading. I'm just not doing a lot of novel reading for some reason. But I also have some other little books that I work through. Again, a lot of these have where I journal or do some doodling. I have been writing quite a bit more than reading, actually. The 52 List Project, you've probably heard of this. Let me see if I can get in there a little bit more. You can Google her name here. But this is one of those books that gives you a prompt every day to write. So you can see here, I should probably give you one that I've written on most of these, so I'm not going to flash them onto the video there. But I do really enjoy the list project. It gives me something to focus on. So right now it goes by the week, and I think we're on about week 16, so I haven't flipped over there yet. And it says list your essentials. And so it's just a way to think about some things and then just quickly journal some things down to get the juices flowing. And then I usually do some morning pages in the morning, just things that are on my mind, trying to stir those creative juices. I also got this as a gift last month. It's Q&A a day, and this is pretty cool every day. Again, it just gives you a little prompt. What day are we on here to make sure I'm in the right place? The 15th? Is today the 15th? No, the 14th. There we go. The 14th, the prompt is, if you could acquire a talent without any extra effort, what would it be? And then I'm going to move to where I haven't written. And you can see it's got 2020, and then each day you write it, and then this is like a 5-year journal. So pretty cool. I've enjoyed it. I've only had it about a month, but I like the daily promptings. That really does make me want to sit down and write. And I think this is a really good time for us to sit down and write, to really be thinking about what it is that we're going through. I think that we'll be looking back on these times for years to come. Yeah, so there, and then my little Lent journal that I just finished this past weekend. So showing you a couple of those things, and then also I want to do some of those book recommendations. Remember, what I'm doing is going to my bookshelf and pulling books that I know that we have in the Library Media Center and giving you some of those suggestions here, okay? So without toppling the table, I'm going to attempt to do that. So the first one up today, and I will be making sure I have reviews for all of these on Goodreads and then linking the Goodreads on our Facebook page. You can follow me in Goodreads. You can follow our Facebook page. Whatever is the best way for you to be able to stay connected and get some good ideas for what you might want to read. Again, all of these books are available in our Library Media Center. Obviously, we're not checking out right now, but if you go to Blanchester Public Library or whatever public library, wherever you live, if you go online to those library sites, most of them have made it super easy for, if you don't even have a library card, to be able to get a library card right now and check out ebooks. And again, you know, I think I've talked to you about this too. I didn't used to like ebooks. Just didn't work for me. And then Mr. Levin got me a Kindle a couple of years ago. And immediately, once I learned how to do it and do it easily, then I love them now. I usually have a print book going, an ebook going, an audio book going. So most of these you're going to be able to find if you will go to the public library online. You can probably find a lot of these out there that way, okay? And you're just going to have to forgive my dogs because they're staring at me. They want to go outside because I'm doing something right now. But the first one up today is Flowers for Algernon. It is by Daniel Keyes. This is a good literary read. Again, you can see it's not too tough to tackle. This will be a good one to really exercise your mind. It's a great story. It's a psychological kind of novel. It is a human experience. Good Lord. It is a human experience of Charlie. Charlie is a challenged young man. He signs over to participate in an experiment where they will give him, I think it's a shot, it might be pills, but I think it's a shot, and these shots are going to increase his intelligence. And they're going to see how that works. It is a very touching novel. And it really does make you think. It makes you think about what intelligence means, how we treat each other, how we treat people who are different than us. It's a really good read, so I would highly recommend that. Stella, you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait. The next one up is E.L. Konigsberg's. She is a Newbery Award winner several times over. I'm not sure if this was a Newbery Award winner or not. I feel like it was. But it's The Outcasts of 19 Schuler Place. Again, you may have read this in your younger years. I would say that this novel probably starts being presented to you in maybe the 6th or 7th grade, and then on up. But that is not to say that if you're in high school that you're not going to enjoy these, because I read this once I was actually a librarian and not whenever I was in school. The main character has an uncle. I'm going to read this back to you because it's really, really good. Uncle Alex had said that you can't stop history from happening because the entire past tense is history. But the future is choices, and the choices of a single person can change future history, even if that person is underage and does not have a driver's license or a credit card. I thought about Joan of Arc, but not her fate, and Anne Frank, but not her fate either. As soon as I had a plan, I was ready to change history. So it's a good, again, heartwarming novel. Realistic fiction, young adult, like I said, probably like 6th, 7th grade and up. The Bean Trees by Barbara Kingsolver. This is a novel written for adults. Barbara Kingsolver is definitely one of my favorite authors. I love all of the books that I've read that she's written, which is pretty much every book she's written. But The Bean Trees is a great coming-of-age novel. The girl that is the main character, she's just graduated from high school. She is ready to get out of Dodge. She's done. She is done with small towns. She's done with rural towns. She wants to go out there and make a name for herself and not necessarily be famous. She just wants something different. She wants something else. But what happens is she gets in the car. It's a 55 Volkswagen. She starts driving across states, and she ends up having to make a stop, I believe for gas. It might be gas or food or something. And when she makes that stop, there's a woman who is obviously in distress. She's holding a small child, and she hands her over. She hands the child over. I said she. She hands the child over. They don't transpire. They don't tell a story. They don't talk about what's happening. It's just evident that this woman needs help, and she needs her to take this child. So she does. I'm going to read about halfway through here. She gets stuck in Arizona with this child. It's a 3-year-old American Indian girl named Turtle. What follows is Taylor meets the human condition head on, is at the heart of this memorable novel about love and friendship, abandonment and belonging, and the discovery of surprising resources in apparently empty places. So it's just a beautiful coming-of-age novel. If you've not read Kingsolver and you love language, you love how writers can, we have all of these authors out here and they write all of these books. How do they keep coming up with such beautiful, beautiful sentences? You're going to love Barbara Kingsolver. She does talk a lot about American Indians in this novel. You get a sense of what's going on reservations and what's going on in these towns where you have Americans and you have Native Americans, and they are inhabiting the same places, the same spaces. So beautiful, beautiful story. And again, I would recommend anything that she has, but that's the one that I currently have on my shelf here. Stephen King. Love Stephen King. I say that. It's a hard read for me. The Green Mile is one of his novels that doesn't focus as much on the horror that he likes to write, although there is a lot of horror in there. It starts with a very horrific killing. These, again, are written for adults, but especially in high school. I have a lot of freshmen who come to me who have already read Stephen King because it's what your parents have on their shelves at home. So these you may be able to find in your house. And again, if you go to the shelf and you see a Stephen King, walk over to one of your parents and ask them if they've read it. See if they think that it's right for you, because they are very graphic. He is known for writing horrific fiction, but I love him. Again, his craft of writing is amazing. So if you are also one of those budding artists, you want to write, you're going to be published, he will show you how to do it. This is where you read and mimic what they're doing. He's a true artist. The Green Mile, he originally wrote as a serial, which means I think it was for a magazine. Pretty sure it was a magazine, could have been a newspaper. But he wrote little snippets of the novel. They released in 6 or 7 parts maybe, and that's how the reader took them in. So then eventually afterward, then they put them into the book form. So this is a pretty hefty one, and then it was also turned into a movie with Tom Hanks. So you may have seen the movie and you've just not read the book, and I know that that's another big thing that we talk about. If you find a movie that you like to watch, or if you find a series of movies, you know that every time a Stephen King movie comes out, you're going to go to the theater and see it. You're going to like his writing. So again, this is going to take you a while, but definitely worth reading. Any Stephen King is probably worth reading, but this one I just finished, and I can never remember the actual date, but it was 11-something-68. It's the one that talks about time travel and going back in time and what would happen if someone weren't killed. How would that affect history? And again, just masterful. He's crazy. He's masterful. We are on day number 34 of this COVID-19, since the Friday that we ended up not having school on the Friday the 13th, and you count forward, we're in day 34. So another one that I often talk about is The Historian. It is by Elizabeth Kostova. This one's a hefty one. I love this book. Written for adults. It is a modern telling of Dracula. You get tons of history in here. I'm not normally a history fan. I don't do historical fiction that well. But I loved this book. I'm not sure if I did it in here. I don't know if this is the one that I had when I read it with a book club. I think it is. But I ended up underlining tons of stuff. And it's definitely one of those novels that as I was reading, because it's telling you about the story of Dracula, which has a lot of basis in actual history. But as I was reading it, I would be like, that can't be right. Is that right? Is that right? And then I would go and Google it, and then I would get caught looking at what part of the world they were talking about and what kinds of skirmishes or wars were going on, and was this person really a real person? And the author just weaves all that into this story, and I love that. And I love the Dracula story, and I love how the author took basically 2 people and then took their story and wrote Dracula into their history. Beautiful story, really spooky. I always think about it in the fall. I always pull it back out and read a couple of pages. I probably should listen to the audio this year. Wonder how many hours that would take. I love that. I really, really love that book. And I usually talk 1 or 2 people a year into reading it. And they always like it if they stick with it. But it's one of those that you really have to be a reader to dive into and hold on to it for the whole time. It's a great one to talk about. That's the other thing. If you're reading it by yourself, you just want to talk to somebody about it, and then you're talking about Dracula, and they're like, but it's so good. Madeline L'Engle, A Wrinkle in Time. This is a Newbery Award winner. You can see the stamp there. Again, you probably were introduced to this more like the probably 5th grade, I'd say, and up. If you don't remember it, or if you didn't get to read it, or if you read it, or you had your teacher read it to you and you remembered how much you liked it, this would be another one to get out there and dip back into. Again, if you're struggling like I am to pick something up, this would be a good one to pick up because it is an easier read because it's written for very young adults or children. It's written for children. And I think that sometimes that's what we need. We need that comfort of a good story, and one that you get lost in. You will have heard of these people. Out of this wild night, a strange visitor comes to the Murray house and beckons Meg, her brother Charles Wallace, and their friend Calvin O'Keefe on a most dangerous and extraordinary adventure, one that will threaten their lives and our universe. It was the 1963 Newbery Award winner. You guys want to go let Stella out with me because she's just driving me berserko. So we'll walk over here. No idea what's going to come up in the feed. Mr. Levin is working on a room with some built-in bookshelves for me over here. Whoop, there's her squeak toy. Let's let her out here. I'll also see probably what she really wants to do is get to that yellow planter right there because that's where the squirrels are. All right. So we'll let them get out there because they're driving me berserko. Head back over here. Sorry about that. I could hit pause, but I have not yet learned how to edit these videos real well. If you have any great videos on how to blog, vlog, video, Zoom, drop those links to me. I have watched a couple, and I still just I don't feel great about editing, so I'm just like, hit record and let's go from there. All right, so another great series. I don't think I've talked about any series. I haven't. No series today. So this is our first series. It's by Tim LaHaye and Jerry Jenkins. It is the Left Behind series. This is probably number 3 or 4. I don't have it written in here in the series. I haven't finished the series. I think I'm on 5 or 6. Oh, again, think about what kind of book you want to read during these times, because this one is an end of the days. It is definitely religious fiction. It is built on the premise that there is a rapture and there are people left behind. That's the premise of the whole series. By the time you get to it's Left Behind is the first one in the series, so if you've not read any of the series, you might want to start there. I do feel like the first one is kind of slow. I can't remember what the name of the second book is, but by the second book, like, I bought in. Like, I wanted to hear how this was all going to play out. Nikolai, which I think is number 3. Oh, here we go. It says first they were left behind, which sets up the whole story for you. There is also a movie or 2. I think Kirk Cameron did one, and then Nicolas Cage, I feel like, is the one who did the other version of this. But Left Behind is the first one, Tribulation Force is the second one, and then Nikolai is the third one. And Nikolai, this is where it starts with introducing you to the Antichrist, I believe it is. I'm pretty sure that's what happens in this one. But it's a great series, very action-packed, page turners, and again, a good religious fiction one if you're looking for it. But when we're talking about what's going on right now, might be some triggering in there, so think about what kind of book that you want to read. If you're looking for comfort and joy, that's not it. The next one that I have here is by Pittacus Lore. That is not his real name. I don't really know what his real name is, but that's the pen name that he writes under. I Am Number 4 is the first one. This is another series. Something has happened. Again, there's an invasion of some sort. The world is not how you remember it, so there's it's that dystopian kind of novel. I was sitting with my feet in the water when I felt it coming. The water around my legs started boiling. My lower leg started glowing where the scar was embedding itself. The third of the Lorian symbols. The third warning. The stakes were higher now. They had found number 3, wherever he or she was, and number 3 was now dead. I am number 4. So, again, a good apocalyptic kind of novel, depending on what kind of reading you're looking for right now. This is a good escapist novel, The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis, written for young adults, but written for mature young adults. There's some language. There are some situations in here. We always have a talk about that at the beginning of the school year. So when I'm throwing this out there on YouTube, if you have not come to my classes, if we've not actually talked in person, we always have that chat at the beginning of the year of knowing what kind of books that you enjoy, knowing what you're ready to read. So I'm telling you now, this is for the more mature reader, for the reader who likes edgier fiction. But it is written for young adults. And Mindy McGinnis is from Ohio. She's a local author. She usually comes to the Books by the Banks, the festival that I'm always talking to you about. And this is a murder mystery. Again, I don't know anybody that I have handed this to or who has checked this out because someone told them to read it. This is definitely a novel that is passed from person to person because it is gripping. It is on your seat. You are sitting on the edge of your seat and you are worried. You're really, really worried for this main character. Her sister has been killed. She wants revenge. It's good. And then the last one is another one for more mature readers. It is usually my girls. It's usually my junior, senior girls. It's another one that gets passed from person to person. Somebody reads it and says, oh, you don't like to read? You're going to want to read this book. It is the Walking Disaster series. It is by Jamie McGuire. She also wrote, I'm trying to think, this is not the first one in the series. The first one I think is called Beautiful Disaster. I think this is number 2, pretty sure. At school, remember, I always have the series numbers written on the spines, but that doesn't happen at home. But it is a romance, but it's a rocky romance. Travis Maddox is the bad guy I think she's at college, when she goes away to college. Pretty sure that was this one. There are a couple that are very similar in series. But Travis Maddox is at college. A girl that ends up going to college, he He keeps pursuing her, and they are not right for each other. And I feel like every minute that I read this book, I kept saying, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. You know this isn't going to work. Why are you doing this to yourself? This is not going to work. But it is definitely a page turner. Again, it's kind of heftier book, but there's usually about a 3-day turnaround on this book because you have got to get to the end to find out what's going to happen. And it is a series, so you do want to start with the first one, and Beautiful Disaster is the first one. And it's also a really weird series. I feel like when someone's reading the series and they come in, we always have a talk about it, and I go back and I show them the ones that we have and show them the progression, because it does not go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It goes Beautiful Disaster and then Walking Disaster, and then there's one that's called Beautiful Wedding, but Beautiful Wedding really shows up somewhere in between there. And then there's these spin-offs of the Maddox brothers, and you know the Maddox brothers by that point, and then it tells you their backstory. So it's a really complicated young adult, but mature young adult series. But if you're looking for that edgier romance, again, it's one of those that I would tell you, hey, I think you're going to like this. Start reading it. If it's not for you, just bring it back and we'll find something else. So I always put that disclaimer out there on that one. It's really difficult just to talk about each one of these books to a screen. I hope that I'm talking to my students, and if I'm talking to you face to face, I can usually tell you if you're going to like it or if I think you're probably not going to like it. But right now, I'm just pulling the books off the shelf and trying to talk to you about what we have there. I would highly recommend that if you're not following our library Facebook page, that you do that. That's the easiest way for me to get content to you, because, we're like living this online life right now. So I just share everything that way. But I did want to mention that. Also, looking at our library website, I'm trying to blog there more and more, and try and give you resources that way so that you can look. By the time we get to, day number 34, you might be starting to be like, woohoo, party's over. I'm really tired of just, this being like an extended spring break. I really would like to have something that entertains me. So entertainment from books, great. I'm trying to give you those recommended sources. Try and find those online. I keep throwing free things when I see them out there on the Facebook page and on the blog. Lots of virtual tours going on right now of museums or art pieces or aquariums. Those have been really fun for me. YouTube is a fabulous resource. I'm sure that you guys have your favorite stations or channels that you have on YouTube. I do too, and I've been discovering some new ones. So I'm sharing those on the Facebook page also, trying to link with you on there. So follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, follow us on YouTube, follow us on all these various platforms so that we can keep in touch. Continue sending me your email updates. I really enjoy hearing what you're reading or what you're doing, or if you're writing. Just continue to email me those. I know that you can also comment, but it feels like people are a little more comfortable when you email them to me in a private email with the school's email. That's fine. loveand@bland.org. I'm happy to read your emails and connect with you that way to see what you're reading, what you're watching. What else was and Goodreads. Don't forget to follow us on Goodreads. I continue to review the books. I'll make sure that all these reviews of these books are current, and I will throw them on the Facebook page too. But if you're friends with us on Goodreads, that's always a great way to find those recommendations. Seniors. Today I put two posts on Facebook for you. Miss Wallace, Miss Long contacted me today and asked me to put the local scholarship packet application and then the list of the local scholarships that are available to you. Those two links are on there if you have any questions. We are all still working here, so everyone's checking their email daily, more than daily. But if you have any questions about that, email longe@bland.org or wallacem@bland.org, and they can answer any of your scholarship questions. Hopefully, come fall, you will be accepted and starting your freshman year of college, just like every other college student has done for the last 100 years. And I pray for that for you. So you want to make sure that you are set to do that. Okay, so I'm coming up on 30-minute long video. I'm sorry it was so long, but I wanted to get caught up on 34 recommendations for you. And I will continue making some content this week and working on trying to edit it. Any of your suggestions on editing content, or if you have great how-to videos that you've come across about vlogging or blogging or editing, video editing, I would love to see any of that. So just send them my way. I think that about covers it. I miss you guys, and I will talk to you soon.